So we're here with Paul Thorpe, all the way from London. And Paul, what brings you here to Miami?
Well, Eric, obviously we had the lovely invite from Roman to go along to his F1 do, and when he rang me up and said, Paul, I want you over, you know, you got to drop everything and come, right?
Nice. Did he call you up? Did you get an invitation? I mean, how did the whole thing transpire?
Well, we was in LA with producer Michael, shooting some videos out there, and Roman rang and said, Paul, where are you? I said, I'm in LA. He said, will you be back in America next month because we need you in Miami? So here I am.
Nice. What did you think about that event? I actually attended as well. I thought it was great. How'd you feel about that event?
Well, I think it was good. I mean, it's good for business. Obviously, it's good for the community. I mean, where do you see a bunch of watches like that, right?
Yeah, there was definitely
some heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters, very concentrated. It was quite surprising to see so many, crazy watches and crazy collectors in such a concentrated area, if you get what I mean.
Exactly. Well, we was talking about the amount of money in the room, not just in the cabinets, right, but also amongst the clientele. Yeah. There were some big hitters there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very well-catered event. I thought they had great food, great location, great alcohol. Even though I didn't really drink that much this time, I guess I was just...
Yeah, it got to me a little bit. I got to be honest with you. It's at the end of the night, I was probably in danger of spending a load of money.
So, anyways, besides that, how do you like Miami? First of all,
it's a beautiful place. I mean, it's not too dissimilar in some respects to where I live in the UK. I now live in Brighton, which is on the coast by the sea.
Okay.
It's a very diverse community. Very similar to Miami in many respects, but there's definitely more money here. There's more flexing. I mean, every other car is a 200 grand vehicle. Everyone's, you throw a stone and it's in danger of hitting a Richard Mille. There's just wealth everywhere, which is quite a sight, really.
Well, look, man, I mean, I'm born and raised in Miami, and the reality is that, yes, there is a tremendous amount of flex and wealth, compared to, for example, when I was last weekend at DC, which is the nation's capital. There wasn't so much floss and flex over there. I saw one Ferrari in 4 days. However, I also want to tell you that, you're staying in the beach, and when you're staying in South Beach and you're staying in those areas, it's kind of like the hot area for that. In reality, Miami's not really all like that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of areas that there's nowhere near any luxury there. I mean, it's like you'd be lucky if you leave there with your shoes still on.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I have noticed, Eric. Coming from London, we have a massive problem in the UK, particularly in the capital city and the big cities around the UK. One thing I did notice is actually how safe I felt wearing expensive watches around the city.
Yes. I mean, lately, I have been a bit restricted myself. I don't wear, for example, I wore for Roman's event my 5980 Patek in rose gold because I haven't been using it lately. Things are different here. I get it. It's totally different from where you're from, where you really can't wear anything. Where here, you do have a lot more, leisure and space to wear a watch. However, I do feel that after the whole lockdown and all that here, things got a little bit weird. There's been more robberies. Before it used to be all the women that would rob you. They rob your heart, your watch, your money, everything. They take it all. They leave you with nothing. Now it's like also the guys are jacking you and stuff like that. So yes, another thing is we're able to carry guns here.
Yeah, big difference.
I'm armed I go armed even to the theater, everywhere. Doesn't matter where I go, I have a gun. Sometimes I find myself with a gun even at my own friend's house.
Yeah.
And then I realize I'm supposed to be in a safe zone here. You're at your friend's house. But
the time you don't carry it is the time you get caught, right?
That's the problem. So, it's a bit different here because it's like a double-edged sword, They know everybody's armed, so they're hesitant. But at the same time, too, they know everybody's armed, so if they do come to rob you,
they're going to be armed.
They're going to be armed, and it's going to be, quick and violent and stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, what do you feel about the Miami watch culture here?
I'm blown away by it. I mean, I can't believe how many people are wearing high-end watches. I mean, we've been to 1 or 2 restaurants and every single person, to a man and a woman, is wearing a luxury watch.
Yeah, I've always said that in Miami, you know, your pharmacist at the Walgreens, which is our pharmacy, will probably be wearing a gold Yachtmaster. You know, even the person that's at the working the register. It's part of the culture. You know, there's cultures that don't like watches. You know, I'm Cuban American. I'm born here. My parents are from Cuba. When I went to Cuba for the first time to go see what that place is like, my parents haven't been back there since 1960.
Yeah.
I wanted to go see what it was about. And the first thing I realized is every single person has a watch. But when I'm talking about watch, I'm not talking about like watches. I mean like $5 watches, you know, or Orients that once upon a time cost $100. But, you know, I saw a guy wearing a watch that didn't even have the glass or the movement in it. It's like culture. It's like an accessory to them, you know? It's like everybody wants to have the accessory of a watch. I noticed everybody wore a watch, period. So I guess it's part of the culture also. Here, the Hispanic culture, people like watches.
What I was going to say, because I've travelled quite extensively around the United States and I've never seen so many luxury watch wearers as I do in Miami, not even in LA.
Yeah, I think it has to do with, you know,
the sunshine.
The sun showing, and then Miami is a like melting pot of Hispanic and Latin American cultures and Caribbean. And all of those cultures like wearing watches. Like I noticed that when I went to Cuba, I noticed every single person had a watch. Even if it didn't work, it was just like an accessory. Like they needed to have something on their wrist, which for me is a win because we're watch guys. And I know that there's people that don't like to wear watches at all. Like they can't stand it on their wrist. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Listen, I think in the UK at one time, wearing a luxury watch was really the exclusive. It was just the guys that were really into their watches that were wearing watches. But then all of a sudden, everything exploded. Everyone wants a watch. I think luxury watch ownership in the UK has risen by probably 200-300%. But I think right now, people are starting to get a little bit nervous again because obviously we've had changes in the market.
Yeah.
So some of those people that were coming in buying watches because they felt it was like fashionable, they're now a little bit more wary and they've taken a little step back again.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, and I've talked about this before with several other different guests and people, that the number one driver of this explosion is social media and the flex culture. And, you know, of course, everybody wants to buy a watch when they know you can buy it and be safe and you're not going to lose money. But it has to do with that whole, like, look at me, I have a Rolex, I have a Patek, you know, I have a Richard Mille.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, look, I like watches. And as you can see, you know, whenever people in my videos or my channel and stuff like that, when they'll say that I like the flashy and the you know, the flashy stuff, as you can see, I'm from Miami. So it's like, it's in my genetic heritage. It's in my nature of where I live. It's what I do. You know, I like that. I like wearing watches, you know, but at the end of the day, if somebody came in wearing an Oris or like a Hamilton, you know, a part of me will say, okay, you know, he's into watches. He's kind of like getting in the game. You know, I guess it's how you wear that watch that then tells me really what you're trying to do. Like the competitiveness in me would say that if somebody came in with a Hamilton trying to flex, but like he was wearing it like he was trying to flex, I wouldn't accept it. You know, I would raise him with an RM or a Patek. But if he's just a regular guy, which most of them are, you know, the thing is in Miami, you know, it's infectious. Everybody here tries to, you know, I've been here so long, I'm already almost over it. You know, lately I'm wearing more like vintage stuff and just things that are more toned down. I feel like that's the new leaf that I've turned.
Do you think the fashion to slightly smaller watches is around us at the moment?
Yes, I think 100%. Surprisingly, things have started to go back full circle, and we are going more into smaller watches, and little by little, it makes sense. I mean, I love my Day-Date 2s, and lately I put them on, and I'd almost rather a Day-Date 40, incredibly.
Everything goes in a circle eventually, right? Fashion-wise.
Yeah, and you know what? now that you brought up that topic of the size of the watch, I want to go back to this event that we both attended. You're familiar with Kevin O'Leary?
Yeah, yeah.
You know who he is?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I know he's like a TV personality. I know he's like a venture capitalist and all that, but he came to the event, which I thought was pretty cool. Although I wanted to pick your brain about what you thought about the fact that this guy was wearing 2 Aventi watches, one on each wrist.
Yeah, he was double-wristed Aventi, wasn't he?
How do you feel about that?
I know the owners of the Aventi brand.
I do too. Listen,
yeah.
I know Ryan that pushes it, and I think he's a really nice guy, and he works really hard, and he's put that whole company marketing on his back and has climbed it up to Mount Everest. But besides all that, put it all the way to the side. Like, how did you feel about that situation?
I wonder why he was wearing one on each wrist. I know he loves his red, and they were both red. But I think Aventi, personally, I think they've been quite brave. They've come a fairly long way. I had one of the original Aventis when it first came out, Hong Kong movement. It was okay, nothing to sing songs about. The new stuff that they've got there that's being made in Switzerland, I think, is a different level. And some of the cases, did you see the Opaline case?
I saw it. I saw it in the display case that it just randomly appeared there in Roman's display case. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. I think they're trying to be a bit of a disruptor.
And a disruptor they are. Now, I would say, first of all, I never liked the big case. I think it's way too big, way too bulky. I've been very open with them about it. No sugarcoating. I tell him, Ryan says, what do you think? I'm like, I always tell him what I think.
Too big.
I think that they'd have to downsize it 33% for it to be manageable, in my opinion. Back to Kevin O'Leary. So he comes in and I see him with 2 Aventi watches. It almost felt like, did you ever watch WWF wrestling when you were young?
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember the exact moment when you realized that wrestling was fake?
I get it.
I mean, like, I saw that and I said, is that really then it was 2 Aventis that I was just so like, I'd say it was a wrap for me, man. I was like,
what? Talking to Ryan, I mean, I asked Ryan that and he said, look, he just believes in the brand. Maybe he does.
I think it's bullshit. I think he's getting paid for it, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, by the way, okay? Marketing is marketing, because I have Exhibit A right here. I just realized. We have double fisting.
Double fisting, yeah.
Okay, wait. 12 hours later, bam. Back to an Apple Watch in red. I mean, the last thing I would be worried about, honestly, is somebody pulling out an AR-15 and stealing my Aventi, because the truth is not going to happen. But I was just, it's okay, the marketing, hey, man, this is what it's all about. They got to market their brand.
Yeah, isn't that part of the job? I mean, as a relatively new brand, they got to get out there, right?
But it was just a little bit too, I don't know, man.
Do you know Kevin?
You know what? Kevin O'Leary shows up, right? I've never been a groupie, period, about anybody or anything. I will talk to people. I'm technically not even that social. But I said, okay, well, you know what? Maybe if I have a chance, I'll talk to him. When I noticed the 2 Aventis, I was like, we're done here. I'm like, I got nothing to talk to this guy about, because, look, I could understand you're trying to push the brand, and I respect that. Again, I think Ryan is the MVP there. But I think the guys, the people that were there are way too much of like watch guys to, accept that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I can't say I know him well. That was the first time I met him in person the other night.
Nice. I don't know if, I know he's a real watch guy, because
He is, yeah.
only real watch guys go down the wormhole about red or this or that. Like, I could tell he's passionate about that stuff,
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised, and there was my 2-minute shocker spiel. I just had to discuss this with another watch guy, because I haven't had a chance to. It was like too fresh and too new. I was in shock.
Do you know what, Eric? I think I look at it this way. All these people, they got to do what they got to do, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I'm not hating on it at all. I guess maybe it was just a double fist that was too much.
I think you're probably right. I think you got it there. The double fist was probably a little bit over the top. There was no subtleness in the double fist, right?
First of all, they're not subtle. They're big watches, okay? And my video master, Adam, he says, Kevin's wearing 2 Aventis. And I said, what? Like, if he was wearing a Aventi, but 2 Aventis was just like, what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
I saw another guy there at the show that was wearing 2 watches, but it was a different purpose. He had on a white AP perpetual calendar, which is what he brought to Miami. He doesn't leave anything in his hotel room. I don't recommend anybody, if you come to Miami or anywhere, I don't leave anything in my hotel room. But and then he went to an FP Journe event, and then when he was there, they actually said, hey, we have a watch for you. So then he had to wear it too.
Take it, yeah.
So he was like, I'm kind of double fisting here, but
So what's hot in Miami right now, Eric? What watches are you selling mostly every week?
Look, before it was a bit easier to. First of all, most of my clients are not from Miami. I would say a large percentage of my clients are from the rest of the United States. I do sell to Miami. I do have very good clients in Miami. Miami clients are very difficult. You couldn't imagine.
Really?
They're extremely difficult.
Why is that?
Well, first off, I don't know if it's their background, their jobs, if they're shady or what. But look, Miami clients, because I don't want to say guys, Miami clients, first of all, want the watch cheaper than what we pay for them. Okay? They want every single thing possible that comes with the watch. I mean, everything, every little thing.
Even the original receipt, right?
They want everything, okay? They want the watch perfect condition, all right? They want to pay less, and they don't want to pay any taxes. Like every hurdle that you can think of, they put it there, or they always got another person that said they can get it cheaper or something. I mean, I'm blessed with a lot of clients from Miami that are actually very good. It's taken a lot of time to weed them out, though. But, I would say that what mostly is selling right now is Rolexes, anywhere from $15,000 to $65,000-$70,000.
Yeah.
I would say that's the range right now. A lot of Daytonas, a lot of Submariners, a lot of
bread and butter stuff.
Bread and butter stuff. APs are selling, but they would have to be the same thing, 60 to 70K and under. I feel like that's what's moving most right now in the market. The big supersonic pieces, the 500K pieces, are a bit more thin and spread apart as they were maybe 2 years ago.
I know we spoke about it briefly the other night at the event, but you're not big on consignment, are you?
I mean, look, I think consignments are great, and I do consignments. I do them. But I'm more selective on who I do the consignments for, because, there's businesses you were telling me that are moving 100% to consignments.
Yeah.
But, for me, I think that one less person that I have calling me asking me if their watch is sold already is better for me. I don't know. Maybe I should just set up a department, put somebody to deal with that. Then maybe I would like consignments.
It brings a different set of responsibilities, though, right? And a different set of problems.
Yeah, I was mentioning it. For me, I think that to be responsible for somebody's watch, the second you agree to do a consignment and the guy lives in Chicago, I got to send him a label. The second the watch is being shipped to me now, I am responsible for the watch. Something happens to the watch and it disappears, I'm already in the hole before I even get the merchandise and start trying to sell it, So then I got to do that. Then I have to market it. I'm putting my reputation that's taken X amount of times to curate and make solidify and everything. And then, you got to, if you got to detail the watch or you got to then whatever, then I got to ship it to the client and there's whole customer service. The whole problem is that I will do consignments, but I'm definitely not doing consignments for 5%. I think at the end of the day, I'm interested in selling watches for people that are interested in me being successful and being able to make some money. Fair. I'm not trying to kill nobody, but if he says he wants $50,000 for the watch and he's okay with that, what does it matter what I make at that point?
Yeah.
If I want to make $100,000 from that point, if the guy said he's happy with 50, it is what it is.
One of the biggest things I've noticed, I mean, look, I've been in and around the watch business, right, since I was like 15 years old. So 40 years I spent in and around the business, Eric. But I've now been retired for 5 years, coming up 5 years. And I think in that time that I've been retired, I've seen more changes in those 5 years than I saw in the previous 35, 40 years. Do you think that, do you have a reason for that?
Absolutely. One of the main reasons is, number one, what I said earlier, which is social media. Number two is exactly what we are doing right now here in this room.
Yeah.
Is this. It's changing the business, okay? I was sitting there at Roman's event, and he has a gentleman that works for him. That's one of his sales guys. He saw me walking by. I introduced myself. We shaked hands, and he said, you know, Eric, 4 years ago, no, it was 5 years ago. He said, 5 years ago, you did a video with the previous channel where you went to LA and it was all lifestyle and you had your Patek Philippe on 5980 and you guys were in this badass house in you know, West Hollywood, and you guys went out. And ever since I saw that video, I decided that I wanted to be a watch dealer. So I know that in a way, I am part of the problem in a way that I spawned a bunch of this. And what happens is that people think, well, you know, Eric has a nice car. He drives a GT3 RS or, you know, whatever car it is, okay? He has this car. He lives in Miami. You know, they think it's all glitz and glamour and, oh, he's got these watches and he must have so much money. But in reality, they have no idea what this career or job really takes, what it entails to be a professional about it, how many pitfalls they are, you know, and you know, you can work up your whole career and in 6 months you can lose it all by just making a couple wrong steps or falling into a wrong patch in your life, you know, whether it's gambling or this or that.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I've seen it a lot in my business. People have made it all the way to the top, wiped out in a year, never again, dust.
I'm probably, to be fair, Eric, I'm probably a lot more to blame than most people because, as you know, my channel has always been about advice, whether you're buying, selling, whether you want to become a watch dealer, the pitfalls of becoming a watch dealer, all the things that we have to go through. I'm sure, you know, we've had this conversation many times off camera with every watch dealer you can think of. Our lives are very complex and very difficult. And the dangers that are involved, the headaches that are involved dealing with the public day in, day out, it is one of the hardest jobs in the world to get right.
Yeah, they think it's super fun and they think it's super great. And yes, I get it. I'm not laying tar on a roof, you know, or doing manual labor, but this is not meant for everybody, and it's not all glitz and glamour. If you don't have a really big enough following to get rid of watches and have end users, the deals become very far apart, and that's not sustainable. One of my main things I mentioned to a couple people lately is that I feel that what we need more and more in this YouTube space is content that attracts the collectors. You know, we need to go back about the hobby. This is a hobby. For me, it's a business, but it's also my hobby. You know, I know a lot of YouTubers that, yeah, they have watches from their merchandise and they have maybe a small collection, but I'm one of the few YouTubers that actually has a collection, but like a real collection. Now, it's not for inventory, not for sale. People call me all the time. They want to buy my Saru, not for sale.
It's not happening yet.
You know, I don't have it there as collateral for my business or backup no, it's my watch. I sell it when I want to, and if I don't, I don't. You know, a lot of these YouTubers don't really have their own collection, which is fine too, okay? What I'm saying is that I'm into this hobby, and I think that what we need is more content about the hobby, not about the business.
Do you think that's the way YouTube will go now? Because the day in the life has been done to death in many respects.
I think that...
Where are we going in the future?
You know, I want to do more day in the life content, but not day in the life of the watch business. Again, I'm not saying this to throw any shade at anybody that's doing that. I'm just saying that I want to do something different because, you know, what we need is more end users. We need more people to get into the hobby, more people to like watches, that's what pretty much anybody does, whether you're a car blogger or whether you're whatever you're doing, you're trying to get more people into this movement. What I don't want is more people into the movement of the business. By all means, I am not threatened by any competition at all. I don't care. I've been in it long enough that I can just kind of stop doing content right now, and I still will have clientele, and I'll be living my life happy, and everything will be fine. I do this because I enjoy it, and I think that we need more videos about the hobby, like the chase to get a watch, and how sometimes my favorite watch then doesn't become my favorite watch anymore. So
how do you feel about the manufacturers, though? Because I think they got a role to play in this as well. Making people welcome into their stores, making it feel like it's not, you know, if you look at Rolex, they're now becoming a brand, an elitist brand, rather than an elite watch.
I mean, it kind of has always been, you know, when you could go walk into a Rolex store and buy it, people still kind of didn't, which is why at the end of the month, when all these, remember, they're all franchises in a way, you know, they had to sell the watches that they had. They would backdoor them to people like me, and then I can sell you a date with a 20% discount, which is what I tell people all the time. I'm like, look, I'm going to make money regardless when you're buying or when you're selling. I'm like a stock trader. You know, I used to sell watches under retail. Now they're over retail. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, we prefer to sell them. We prefer to buy them cheaper and sell them cheaper, right?
I enjoyed selling people watches, full stickered, open cards, 20% discount.
The discount, yeah, those were the days, eh?
I mean, it was still the same margins for me. I don't see the difference, but I think that they play a role in this. Of course, I think they like this. This is what keeps it going, because the day you buy a $250,000 Harry Winston, and I always use this example because it happened, and it's only worth 30 grand after that, real quick that will get out, and all of a sudden people stop buying your product.
Yeah.
So I think they like this right now, and they'll keep it going. You know, it's tough. You know, that's the problem with the videos of the business and the business and the business and the business. It also turns off the collectors, the guy at home that is busting his ass. I've been there too. I have been there. Everybody thinks just because I have, you know,
a big collection.
Collection. I was about to say, I don't even want to say the number. And what do you think? I wasn't sitting there at one point saying, damn, I really wish I can get that Royal Oak, you know, and scheming and plotting. And if I save this much, and then if I sell that, and if I, you know, stop spending money on this, then maybe I can buy it. And should I be even buying it at this point? You know, I've been there. You know, they make it hard. And I think that even if right now they opened up the floodgates, you know, what happens with that culture is it upsets the guy that's also trying to like get into the game, right?
Yeah.
And then he will write comments like on my page, and which again, I don't care. I just read it and I try to understand what's going on in the collectors' minds, and the hobbyists. And they're like, you know, Rolex is going to start mass producing it, and they're going to wipe all of you guys out. Like if we are the problem.
That's like their wishful thinking rather than reality.
But you know, I don't care what they're thinking. It doesn't matter. But what I realize is the angle that they're coming in. Their angle is that we are the problem, the business, the watch business, when really I don't think it is.
Of course it's not.
I think it's just.
And by the way, Eric, where are we getting those watches from in the first place, right? We're getting them from the flippers that the ADs have supplied.
Correct. You know, I never agreed on a Panda Daytona being $55,000. I thought it was absurd. When I did my video, I meant it from the heart. I'm like, is anybody actually paying this much? Because I haven't been able to sell any. And then at that price, at least. And then people actually sent me messages and they're like, I paid 55. I was like, in shock.
Yeah. It was happening.
It was happening. Everything was weird at that moment anyways. Doesn't matter. I mean, you couldn't even get a Hyundai at retail at that moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, everything was selling over list, right?
You know, I think at the end of the day, a bit more content about the hobby might be a bit better. And, you know, for example, I watch some of the videos every now and then because I do watch it so much that then I watch like car stuff. I don't spend my time on YouTube watching anything about watches, honestly. But for example, like this gentleman, Teddy Baldassar. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
for example, Teddy's videos are not my swing. It's not my style of enjoyment. But I do, anytime you do this type of stuff, it's art. I feel like it's a form of art.
Yeah.
So I watch his videos and I do appreciate the art. And I feel like his videos are about the hobby. It's about being a guy, you like watches, about being, you're that guy at home that can't afford these watches yet. So you want to sit there and you want to look at this channel and hear him talk about watches and the hobby and imagine and dream and stuff like that. And I feel like little by little, more and more, that's what we need. I'm not good at doing videos about Oris or stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm
same
just,
here,
it's just, I can try, but it's not me. As you can see,
Not what we do, is it?
well, now you know where I'm from and what I'm immersed in. Like, it's just not natural for me. Yeah. That's just,
That's always difficult because I've always said, look, as long as I was in the business, look, I was a Rolex dealer. My business was 99% pre-owned Rolex watches. So when someone comes and says to me, I want some advice on a Breitling Navitimer, I'm not really a man. It's not what I did.
I know. I understand that. So, what would you say about the current state of the watch YouTube? Because I feel like every time there's a new guy, and all that's welcome too. It's a free market. What do you feel?
I think there's two different camps. I think you've got you guys like yourself, Roman, etc. The usual suspects, right? We're there for the better, the good, and the great of the business. And I think you've also got a camp that's there to actually cause as much drama and as many problems as they possibly can, which I think is a shame. It makes it harder work for everyone. But listen, drama gets views and clicks, right? That's the sad part of it. And I think there's too much. There's a lot of. I wouldn't use the word hate. Maybe that's too strong. But there's a lot of people out there, I think, of ulterior motives. And you mentioned earlier on about the guy leaving a comment saying, Rolex is going to mass produce this. I think a lot of this stuff is wishful thinking. People are hoping that the watch market will crash. They're predicting it will, not really because they believe it, because that's what they'd like to see. And I just don't get that negativity.
I mean, I agree. I feel that some of those people that are saying that weren't going to buy the watches anyways after
In the
it crashes.
first place, yeah.
And that's fine, which is really when I do my videos. I saw a podcast the other day from two gentlemen real quick because my video guy sent it to me. Small guys. It's called The Watch Soup. There you go. That's your free plug. And they featured me in my last video, and I sat there and watched them talk, okay? Because I give everybody a fair shot. Nice guys, by the way. I mean, no, this is not going in a weird direction.
Yeah.
But what I did do is I did use what they said to kind of get into the viewers' minds of what they think about me. That's the way I use these things, right? So I sit there and I hear them talk. And it was about the video that I did about, is it too late to get into the watch game? And by the way, I come up with these videos as we're driving up to go do it. So it's not like master plan thing or anything like that. If the video is great, great. And if it's not, okay, whatever. So first of all, he says that that he has watched me for quite some time and that he has always felt that I was on blow in Miami, which was like, okay. Okay. I mean, I get it. I understand that when you're from anywhere else in America and you find out that somebody is from Miami, and then you find out that they're Cuban, you instantly think Tony Montana, Scarface. I get it. I understand. Immediately, you're just thinking Scarface. So, no, I do not do blow. But, then he was like, it's a little bit hard to kind of understand him sometimes because he goes in circles and this and that, which, and some constructive criticism to him as well. I sat there and I heard him for 10 minutes and I was like, Jesus, can this guy land the plane? Like, the plane was circling the runway forever. Again, nice guys, What I did realize was some criticism of me, I'll give you a little bit back so that we, adjust our ways of talking. But I did notice that he's in that point of view where he felt that everything I talk about is just way too high-end and way too fancy. And, I would like to figure out a way to kind of get into a bit more of the not so expensive buying clients and maybe give them some type of motivation or something. I mean, it'd be nice to tap in more people in the hobby,
More to the grassroots.
and bring them up. You
Bring
know,
them in, yeah.
I want to be able to bring them up and give them hope and show them that I was there too.
I think one of the problems that the watch business has had over the last few years is the amount of crime that's been going on, is the amount of potential, people losing their watches, etc. This is something that we haven't touched on yet, but later this month we're launching an anti-watch theft platform, an anti-watch crime platform that I think is going to change the watch world, the ownership of watches, and certainly it's going to make the watch world a whole heap safer. And that's being launched on the 15th.
You mentioned that to me briefly
Yeah.
at the event, and can you elaborate a little bit more about exactly, like in a nutshell, what is it that it does?
Okay, so it's basically going to be the world's largest lost, stolen, and counterfeit watch database. We're working with US law enforcement, Scotland Yard, Interpol. We've been on this now for 3 years, putting this together. It's cost a lot of money to put together, but not only will it cover the stolen watches, it's also going to give people the chance to register their watch on blockchain. It's very, very simple. It's not complicated, and it is almost like putting your watch in a safe place. It's like keeping it in the cloud, so that anything happens to that watch, you've still got all its details. And if I lost my watch here right now, where do I report it? Do I phone the local police? Do I phone the manufacturer? Is there any chance of getting that watch recovered? Well, it's all very, very slim. With the platform that we're putting together, if this watch is stolen right now, within 2 minutes, everyone that's on that platform in the world will be notified that watch is super hot within seconds of it being stolen. It's going to make a big difference to the watch world.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand how any sort of resistance is going to help, because right now, I guess in a way, I mean, there is some resistance. Like here in America, the whole country uses a database. When you buy watches, you have to legally, when you buy them over the counter, you have to register them, and then you have to hold the watch for 30 days while it runs it through a whole system.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's
This is the pawnbroker system, right?
Yeah, but anybody that buys, technically, anybody that buys secondhand watches is supposed to use that system.
Yeah.
But it's still it's the thing about that system is that it's more internal to law enforcement. It doesn't tell everybody else.
Well, this is the key, Eric. We have been able to get inside these databases.
Yeah. Like for example, if I was going to buy a watch right now, let's forget about as a business. Let's say as a private. It would be nice to be able to run the serial and know if it's got nothing, almost like you do a Carfax on a car.
This is pretty much what Carfax is the perfect example.
Okay. Yeah, that's something.
So if you think Carfax for watches, you're pretty much there.
Yeah, that sounds that's something interesting and that can possibly help the situation, because when you said about what has changed in the market the last 5 years, it's everything. It's social media, everything, the business, you name it. All that has spiraled into where we are right now. People now know that watches are worth more money, where before you could walk in with a 5980 steel, nobody knew what it was. Nobody. Now any idiot knows. Now their Nautilus, a Richard Mille, or anything is worth money.
Well, one of the aims of, it's called Digital Watch Vault, one of the aims of the vault is to get people putting watches back on their wrist.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have been taking them off.
I did have a moment somewhere last year or the year before where I got a little worried that the crime was going to screw up the hobby.
Yeah.
For me, what I did was I adapted. Instead of buying so many crazy pieces for myself, I started then buying a little bit more vintage subs and having more fun in other pieces. So I don't have to always, wear my John Mayer Daytona or something of that nature. And I think it cooled down a little bit, although I am talking from my perspective. Where you guys are, it's a whole different ball game. I've heard it's literally dangerous. It's like they don't just rob you. It's
Well, we had a guy killed just a few weeks back for a fake Nautilus.
wow.
They didn't obviously know that it was fake, but He was stabbed and he died in the street. 32nd birthday, dead for a fake Nautilus.
You know, to not to get into like all this, not to get political in it any way, but just real lightly surface. I mean, what is the number one problem, you know, in your country? Is it just the fact that nobody's armed? Is it the police is too lax? I mean, what would you say it is?
I think it's a combination of everything. I would say, you know, a woke government, if you like, a woke judicial system. We had just 2 weeks ago, we had 4 guys that were arrested and charged with violent robberies, street robberies, caught on camera, you know, just hands down caught. The judge sentenced them to 2 years suspended sentence.
Oh my God.
Suspended. So they walked free from the court. All the time that's happening, we got no chance.
Yeah. Okay. That says it all to me. That's pretty much what's going
So it's
on.
risk versus reward, Eric, right?
Yeah,
Risk versus reward.
That's what's going on right now in California as well. It's exactly that situation right there. So anyways, before we finish up here, I need to get your full thing of like, how was Miami? What did you do? Did you any interesting things that you experienced while you were here? Any cool spots? Anything you said, this is like so unique?
The women are interesting.
Yes. Over here, it's a lot different than almost anywhere else, even in the U.S. I mean, this is a pretty high concentration of women and watches. I would say that.
So it's not a bad place to live, I would say, guys. If you like your women and you like your watches and your cars, Miami wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, you also got blessed this week with some good weather because Miami is bipolar. I'd say 2 weeks ago we had rain the entire week nonstop. And then sometimes you'll have rain and then it won't rain anymore. So
yeah.
I'm actually hoping that today we don't have any rain because contrary to what anybody thinks, I'm not a morning person. We are shooting this video right now very early because
we both struggled to make this morning, guys. Right? If we're a bit flat, you know why.
I had told Paul, I said, you know, if we're going to do something, we got to make it early because I'm going out to the F1, to the Grand Prix today, the Miami Grand Prix. So it's race day. So I got to be there kind of early.
And Eric, we need to see you back in London soon.
You know, I want to go. I was telling you that I had said I wanted to go maybe, you know, back to France. And then my wife said, like, why don't we just go to London? I said, you're right. I'd rather go to London. I was only there a brief time. And for that brief moment, I tried to walk around and see as much as I could. And I did. I thought it was great. I thought the atmosphere. And I don't know, London has a bit of a vibe when I get off of the airport and I'm heading into the main city. It's got this energy that I like, which is usually what I go off of anywhere that I travel. I kind of feel like if I like the energy there.
You had a great reception from the viewers as well in London, right?
Yeah, it was actually very surprising to see that many people that, you know, watch me and know about my channel. And I actually wanted to ask you, like, how did you find out about me? Was it through YouTube or how did you find out about me?
Yeah, YouTube, Eric. I mean, like there's this guy with the glasses and the cool look in the beautiful background. I mean, what's not to like as a watch person? You know, you're hitting the subscribe button before you get past the first minute, right?
You know, when I started doing videos, the only other person that was doing videos in a professional level would be, you know, a blog to watch. And, you know, I think the Watch Finder guys, they do some really good production and stuff like that. But it was only Archie Luxury that was doing some like non-professional stuff, which I was considering myself non-professional as well. And which he's a movie, you know, in his own, and he's got his own thing there. And that was the only one at that time that was doing it. So I figured I'd do something different. And, you know.
How long have you been doing YouTube now?
I think I first started doing YouTube in 2013 or 14.
Wow, that's a long time.
14. No, maybe 15, but I think I got to go back and see what my first video was. First video I did it myself in my apartment, and I think it was like a Yachtmaster.
Was you wearing glasses?
Of course. Yes, I was wearing glasses. I live in Miami. I wear glasses all the time. And
is that deliberate so you don't get recognized or so you can not be recognized? Because if you take the glasses off, you can probably walk through Miami without getting any attention because people only recognize you, I would imagine, with your glasses on.
Unfortunately, I'm always wearing my sunglasses. So yes, no. And it's something that has happened for a long time. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm an accessory type of person. So, watches, sunglasses, hats, things like that. Since I was a little kid, I don't know what to say. Even though when I started working in retail for the watch business, besides the fact that Miami's sunny, so my eyes are like sensitive to sun at this point, inside when you work in one of these places where I used to work, the LED lights were so damn strong. Like it's like a jewelry, retail location that when I would go home and close my eyes, I still see the lights. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just wearing my glasses the whole damn time to almost protect my eyes from the LED lights. And then, it just kind of evolved into what it is right now.
I've got one question for you before we pack up. What do you think's the harder job, being a watch dealer or being a YouTuber?
I think that being a watch dealer is definitely harder because, it's hard as hell to do both. It is so hard to create content, and we want to create good content. Okay, I don't create content just for the views, because if that was the case, then I would have jumped on all the bandwagons that pulled up in the last 3-4 years, and I would have exploited them to the death. But I want to do something that I feel that I like. And yeah, there's sometimes content that I'm not happy with, but I got to feed, the machine. And, I would like to get better and better stuff, but it's so hard to focus on running your own business, being the best that you can be for your clients, and being the best you can be for your consumers. For your viewers. But I would say that it's harder to be a watch dealer because there's so much more at stake. You have your livelihood. You could potentially have your life. If you don't do things right, you can get in trouble. You could go down the wrong path here. The worst thing that can happen in YouTube is you sell out and you just don't succeed. So I think that sell out or don't succeed. I would say that it's a lot harder to be a watch dealer. And if you plan to do both, anything could be done. You just got to work hard.
Then that is the real key. That's the real difficult one, being both.
Yeah, at one point I had to decide whether I want to be a YouTuber or whether I want to be a watch dealer. And I think I chose to handle my business more than just being on YouTube all the time. It works out good. It's a good way to show who you are, but the business comes first, in my opinion.
We really appreciate you inviting us down this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to see you again, mate.
Thanks for coming down at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday in Miami after being out Saturday night.
I'm going back to bed now.
That's it for you guys. And if you like this video, like and share it. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, don't forget to subscribe and like Paul's stuff as well.
All the best.
Thank you. That was easy.
Good, yeah.